You have an appointment for a blood pressure.
Did he just sneeze on my desk?
A blood
Sir, if
pressure.
you're not feeling well, I'm gonna have the nurse come see you outside.
No, brother, I'm feeling good. I just got a blood pressure check. My whole hood been vaccinated.
Your whole hood's been vaccinated. This fool sneezing and coughing all on my. You gonna piss
I'm
me
good.
off?
I understand that, but they can give you a blood pressure check outside.
Man, what is wrong with this dude? I swear for God, if you gonna get.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Maurice Brown Show. We have a very special guest today, actually a recurring guest on the show today. Glad to have her back. She's got a show right now on Roku TV, the Creative Motion Network, called Cooking My Roots. A veteran actress, comedian, motivational speaker, supermodel mom, you name it. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show the very funny and talented Kerri Pomarolli. What's up, Kerri? How are ya?
Maurice, you have the voice for this. You have the coolest voice to be doing broadcasting.
Well, thank you, Kerri. I tell you, I really wish I could. I did radio back in the 90s, and I got out of it. Yeah, I should definitely get back into it. I enjoyed the heck out of it. I used to call games on the radio, football, basketball, baseball, and that type of thing. And then so thank you for I need to get back into that, Kerri.
I mean, it's so funny during COVID, we're doing everything from home, and I've done a million podcasts, and I can't tell you the number of times when, like, you know, the Wi-Fi is weird, you have to hook up to your computer, and I'm literally like sprawled out on my stomach, like face down, doing a 45-minute audio, trying to sound like chipper, you know, and like I'm like muting. I'm like, shut up, Bobby's doing a podcast, and I'm like, hello, America, good to see you, so happy to be here. I mean, this is
Kerri, it's
like
great
a normal edition that I've been today for this interview.
Well, Kerri, it's great to have you back on the show. Now, the pandemic has cut our comedian role completely to the curb, but now things are starting to get back to normal a little bit. What's been going on with you in stand-up?
I was going to places like Texas during COVID, and they were like, what COVID? We don't have COVID, you know. So anywhere that would have me, but I'm from California, Maurice, so I'd come all masked up and hazmated, you know, and they were like, girl, take that off. So I'm finally getting shows in California again. And, you know, I think we just got to pray through this latest little round of Delta variant. But I feel good about it. I feel good about it for the first time in a really long time.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that. I'm starting to feel a lot better about it as well. Our buddy Christopher Sean Shaw, who's the director of the film Church People. Have you seen Church People?
Oh, so funny. My friend helped write it, Wes Halula.
Oh, great film. And it's coming out on DVD on September 3rd.
It's hilarious. I
hilarious.
don't like Christian movies normally because I just don't. Like, some of them are quality-wise, but especially the comedy ones. Oh my gosh, I laughed out loud. Like, great. My friend Thor Ramsey is one of my really good friends. Thor
stars in that film.
Yeah, he does.
But I got a suggestion for you, as you mentioned faith-based films. I would suggest to you, Kerri, to check out Pure Flix and look up the crime series Vindication. Have you ever heard of it?
Okay, no.
It is a legit crime show. You would not think it's faith-based as you're watching it, and then as you get deeper into the program, you realize it is faith-based, and it's pretty awesome. It's they just completed season 2. Check it out, Kerri. You'll love it.
And I do love The Chosen. I do love The Chosen. If you haven't seen that, it's amazing.
And The Chosen is awesome by Dallas Jenkins. That is an awesome project as well. So hey, Chris, let's love me some Wes Halula.
Yeah,
so I guess
you got to get Wes on your show. He'd be a great guest for you.
And did you say he wrote Church People?
Yeah, he did.
Okay, yeah, I have to get him on. I didn't know that. I've had Chris on and I've had Thor on. Matter of fact, I'm going to have them back on again in September. But I've got to get Wes Halula on the show. I didn't know that.
Well,
And you know,
I'm a huge A-lister in the Christian comedy scene because there's like 28 people in the whole scene. So you could totally drop my name.
I will definitely drop you. Everybody loves Kerri
Pomarolli.
Pomarolli. Every time I mention Kerri Pomarolli, everybody's like, "Oh, I love Kerri." So I will definitely
It doesn't
do that.
really help me in real life. It only helps me in these certain situations, like getting my friends on your podcast, on your TV show.
Absolutely, absolutely. So you have a cooking show, Kerri, on the Creative Motion Network that you do with your daughter called Cooking My Roots. I love it. It's hilarious. I love the spontaneity between you and your daughter, the things that you're trying to. Tell us a little bit about that show.
And do you like my ex-husband, the cameraman?
And I love the ex-husband cameraman. I love it.
I love Creative Motion Network. They're so wonderful to all of us, and I just want everyone to support them. And they're just loving people, and they're just doing something really special. And I want everyone to go to their Roku channel and download the Creative Motion Network and watch your show. But my grandmother gave me a box of recipes. Oh, I have it. Wait, hold on.
Okay.
It's so heavy. It weighs like 50 pounds. So remember when your grandma would cook out of these like boxes? You put the cards in, and then they're like cards.
Yeah, I vaguely remember that.
And then there are these recipes. So yeah, it's like how to make a little meatloaf go a long way. And my grandmother would write, or she would clip newspaper clippings, like New Heinz home-style gravy, right? And so she writes a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Now, when you watch my show, it will not come as a surprise to you within the first 5 seconds that I don't know how to cook at all. But I thought I should cook my grandmother's recipes. So I call it a year in the kitchen with my dead grandmothers. But really, it's a year in the kitchen with my ex-husband and my daughter who don't have any faith in me. But, during COVID, we had to get creative about what we could do to still provide entertainment for people.
Well, it's hilarious. I love it, and I really think it's cool that shout out to Kevin Scott Collier and Kristen with Creative Motion Network. No doubt about it, Chris. But I really think it's cool the way that you have a great relationship with your ex. Like a lot of people don't have great relationships with their ex.
Maurice, the man
lives
lives in my garage. I can't get him to leave.
Oh my gosh! Well, that provides a different conundrum. Yes.
People say, "Oh, that's hilarious in your act." I was like, "No. He was helping me. You can come and say hi. You want to come say hi? If you come on my TV show, you can play on your video game. But you have to come say hi to people. Come around." My co-host, no, come the other way. My co-host Ruby wants to say a little shout out.
Yeah, bring Ruby on. Absolutely, absolutely.
She goes, "Can I play my video games?" I go, "No, you come on my show first." This is Ruby Joy.
Hey, Ruby. How are you, Ruby?
We're talking about my cooking show, Cooking My Roots, right?
Ruby is awesome.
Cooking is fun.
Yeah, she's my we cook together.
Yeah.
And I think it's a great way to spend time with your kids, eating.
We cook together with mom.
Yeah, kids and mom cooking together.
Yes. You guys are a great team.
Even if you're not good, and even if you burn everything, Maurice, as what?
Or you can say cook with your dad.
Yeah, we can cook with dad. Is there anything you want to say to the audience? Okay, you can go now.
Okay.
Thanks, Ruby, for being on the show.
Goes, I'm going to play my video games now, because every time mommy's busy.
Play Roblox.
Yeah,
and dad watch TV.
Yeah, whatever. This is my parenting for summer, Maurice. Yeah, whatever. Yeah. Go away. Stop twerking on my show. Yeah, that's my parenting for summer 2021. Yeah,
well,
cool.
Ruby is a great assistant on the show. She helps you to not burn, so many different items there. It could be worse.
Oh.
But Ruby kind of saves the day, so it's awesome.
Well, some of these old school recipes, they don't mention, preheat the oven. I was like, oh, shoot. But my grandmothers never used a microwave. They would put the potato chips in the microwave to just use it as storage. I had the grandma that used the butter tin as storage. Remember the country crack? Like
absolutely.
Like Cool Whip is like storage.
I remember that.
Totally my grandmother's. I've inherited that.
Well, Kerri, it's interesting because now we live in a day and age. Do you remember, Kerri? I mean, you're a little bit younger than me, but not a ton. But do you remember back in the day, Kerri, when the average age of a grandmother was like, oh, I don't know, 75?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we live in a day now where the average age of a grandmother is like 38.
Yeah, you know what? That's jacked up.
It's a little different.
That is jacked
It's just a little
up.
different. Yeah, it's just a little different. I remember I used to come in from playing outside, and I look on the kitchen. I had a good old African-American grandmother. There'd be fried chicken and collard greens cooked in pork
my
fat,
family's from
and
the South. So we
all
had
that stuff.
That food.
Woo! It was
We had
awesome.
all
Now
that food from my Alabama grandma.
there you go. Now, a kid comes in from outside today in 2021. They're not going to find anything on the stove. They're going to have to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Or my mother made reservations is what's happening.
Okay. Yeah, or my mother made reservations, or grandma might be playing, PlayStation 5. Anyway, I love your show. I love your show, Cooking My Roots, and the Italian grandmothers there. You're kind of like channeling your Italian grandmothers. You're not channeling them quite as well, perhaps, as you might like, but you're hanging in there, Kerri. You're making it happen.
COVID, I got really good at eating, Maurice. Like, I was like,
okay,
let's see how much food I can get in this body in one day, and then let's start over the next day. So, that was a challenge, and I think I'm a big winner because I can eat with the best of them.
Well, Kerri, look, Christopher Shaw says, have you seen Something Smells Funny with Scott Wood?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have.
Okay, and that's a show out of California. As a matter of fact, I'm surprised he has.
Christopher, I'm actually slated to be a guest on his show. Yeah.
I was just about to ask you that. Awesome. That is awesome. So he's still, the COVID-19 really slowed that show down considerably, and he's still trying to make it happen, and I'm glad to know that he's back up and running because he was on my show last year as well, Scott Wood was. Now, let me get back to your stand-up comedy. What have the audiences been like since you've started back, Kerri?
Oh, amazing, Maurice. Like, crazy, wonderful, sold-out crowds, 1,000 people. Like, they're like, let me out of the house. I don't even care if you're funny. I mean, they're just amazing and lovely.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't even care if you laugh. I don't even care. Like, everybody's like, I don't care. I mean, it's the greatest attitude. But I feel like my stand-up got stronger. Yeah. I've never had a break. I've never, ever had a break. But taking a break made me appreciate it more. I feel like I'm more on point. I'm stronger. I'm sharper. Some of my other comic friends and I were saying, we feel better about our comedy now.
You know what? I would have to agree. I did comedy for the first time after a year and a half about 3 weeks ago. And I didn't know how it was going to go. It was a packed room. I went up, and as soon as I got in front of the microphone, it was just like riding a bicycle. I mean, everything came back, and the crowds are just ready to laugh at anything. I mean, they're just glad to be out of the house.
I did do a lot of virtual shows because I still had bills to pay. So I never really had a break. It's not the same. So, and then, like I said, there were certain times during COVID, people in the outskirts of town. I mean, I didn't completely stop doing stand-up completely. But I had never had more than a 6-week break. I mean, I gave birth and I was like breastfeeding on stage 6 weeks later. Like, I'm working because we're comics, right?
Yeah.
Hold on, Maurice. I have to plug something in really quick. But yeah.
It's all good, Kerri. It's all good.
But I love the craft. And if I ever took it for granted, I will never do it again because I love the specific art. I'm writing movies and I love all that and working for the Hallmark Channel and I love all that. But I love the craft of comedy.
And tell us a little bit about the Hallmark Channel. I think you're in the process of writing for another film.
I'm working on my second project with the Hallmark, and we're in talks with Netflix with some other projects. When you're a writer, you just kind of write and then you throw it out. We have a producer, we have a manager who does all the dirty work. But Candace Cameron Bure from Full House signed on to produce one of our scripts, and we're really excited to partner with her. And then I'm working on my second project with the Hallmark Channel. They're very, they're getting more they're getting more diverse. They're allowed one minority for every 4 films, so that's really exciting.
Okay.
I'm joking, by the way, but
I would think so.
Well, or am I, Maurice? Or am I? Because we were all like, partner
in 2021. I don't
like,
know if you. Yeah, I don't know if you're joking or not. It's a different era we're living in, but I'm sure you're joking.
Am I allowed to say that? But no, it's about like I like to say, my Hallmark movies are really racy. It's about a girl who finds out she's a princess while she's moving into the bed and breakfast. But
Okay.
Hallmark's great. Hallmark's a great gig. I really hope the Netflix things happen. I'm kind of, I don't know. But Netflix is trying to be Hallmark, and they want family friendly. And if Christopher's watching or any of that, like, I think that we need to just keep putting out good quality content. Like when I saw Church People, I was like, that's a movie I would be proud to represent in a faith. And it was, faith-based. And all of our films have a through line of faith. I think we just need to put out quality content.
Yes,
so people
absolutely.
take notice of what we can do. But our movies aren't so in your face. I'm not writing The Chosen. I'm not writing about the Bible. I just think everyday people that happen to have some faith-based characters in the script is always a good idea.
Yeah, and I think that Church People also is an anomaly because there are no Christian comedies. This is not just a faith-based film; it's a comedy, and it's a really good comedy.
They tried it with Mom's Night Out, and I was on the team for that. And it did really well in the video release world with Patricia Heaton a few years back. It didn't do so well theatrically, but it did really well with the DVD release.
I'm going to have Cameron, what's her name again? Candace Bure?
Candace Cameron. Good luck with that, because she doesn't do podcasts or anything unless you're like Barbara Walters. But
got it. Because I know she's a really good friend of Jen Gottson, and Jen Gottson's been on my show a number of times. As a matter of fact, I was in a film with Jen in 2016. I'm sorry, what's that, Kerri?
I said you can drop my name and Jen, and you can try. She's just crazy. She's on Home Shopping Network. She's like selling tuna fish. She's got a greeting cards. I'm trying to get her to film my movie. I'm like, can you please take a break?
She keeps popping up her name, Candace's name. I'm like, every time I look up, she's around either you or Jen, or she's always on the Hallmark Channel. So, and she's a very good actress as well. So, but yeah, the next time I attempt to contact her, I will drop your name and Jen's as well. Let me ask you something about stand-up comedy. What is the biggest thing about stand-up to you after all the years you've been involved? You're a clean comic, and I mean, it's kind of like a crossover. People don't care that you're clean. That a lot of people from the secular world like your comedy. What's the biggest thing that you've learned about the craft since you've started, Kerri, that's made you a better comedian?
I think starting in the clubs, Maurice. I think being a secular comic is going to make me a good comic. You cannot hone your skills, and all the Christian comics are going to shoot me. But I'm not honing my skills doing the ice cream social. Like the church people, they're really nice. They're Christian. They have to laugh.
Yeah.
I'm honing my skills being comic number 22 at 11:45 when everyone's barely sober and they don't owe me anything.
There you go.
I've really honed my skills in areas where I may not feel comfortable. And also being a craftsman of the craft when I teach comedians, because I do mentor comedians and I help them write their jokes. I'm like, you need a laugh every 7 to 10 seconds. And 10 seconds is being generous. You need a laugh. And if you're not getting a laugh every 7 to 10 seconds, you're not doing it right. Like, that's just me. And I'm not, there's legalism. You could say, well, this, blah, blah. But watch a good comic that you like with a pencil and put a check mark at every time they get a laugh. You know what I'm talking about, Maurice. Tag. So I learned from Bone Hampton, Sherry Shepherd. Thor Ramsey was one of the guys that was already established when I was coming up, and Leland Clausen and Darren Streblow, and like those guys were like solid. And Thor is one of the best comics I've ever seen in my life with crowd work. He could just go into the crowd and talk, and I go, how do you do that? He's like, 15 years more than your experience. Like, now that I've been in it for 15 years, I'm like, I get it. I have my bag of tricks. And nothing substitutes time. And the latest argument I'm having, Maurice, is just because you have a talking dog on TikTok does not constitute you as a comedian performer. Like
that's so true.
Like I'm having these arguments. Oh, you need to be on TikTok. It's the way of the future. I'm like, that's 40 seconds out of my life. When you book a show, you get 60 minutes of entertainment. You get 90 minutes of entertainment.
Yeah.
Your talking dog is not going to come to the Improv with you.
The dog's not coming to the Improv. They won't let him in.
And it's not funny.
And he's not funny.
I'm kind of a cranky old lady when it comes to TikTok. I'm on TikTok. I'm kicking and screaming.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Bone Hampton, you mentioned him earlier. He was on the show last week, and he told me he saw Thor Ramsey do an urban room, which is black, an all-black room, and he figured Thor Ramsey would go in there and tell, some jokes that would more or less, I'm paraphrasing now, would be fairly unrelatable. He said the thing that he loved about Thor was that not only did he kill, he just went in there and he was Thor Ramsey. He didn't try to change his delivery or try to figure the room out and see what they will. He just did him. He was just Thor, and he killed, and he thought that was quite impressive.
When I've done African American rooms, or I don't know what I'm allowed to say in 2021, and I'm comic number 4. I did one not that long ago with Barry Brewer. Do you know Barry Brewer?
No.
He's insane. And there's an all African American crowd, and he's doing African American church humor to the niche degree that is the funniest thing. People are falling over, right? And I've come up with African American comics, whatever, it's fine. But I was like telling my mother, we're the only Caucasians like in 3 blocks. I'm like, get the car, I'm done. Like I can't do this. Yeah. Because he's killing, because he can speak the language the way there's no way. And I just went up and I was like, hey guys, it's affirmative action. So just bear with me for 9 minutes. And they like fell out laughing. And I was like, Gary I go to an all black church and I'm always in the video. I'm always in the front. And I just did me, but I realized that you have to pivot and you have to call out the obvious before they'll trust you. Like I'm aware that I'm the only Caucasian person on the show, the only one in the room. And if I don't say something to break the ice, they might feel awkward. So one of the things I've learned about comedy with any audience, I'm doing a women's show. There's a dude in the front row with 500 women. I'm like, what, did you think this was a monster truck rally? Like, what did your wife tell you? Like, what did your wife tell you tonight? Like, I know you're sitting right, So I think, Maurice, we have that gift of doing comedy for a long time. Yeah. Calling out what you need to call out and then just get on with your show. Just be funny. Bone Hampton taught me that. Just be funny. Thor Ramsey taught me that. Just be funny. My friend was talking to me about coming up in comedy and what I missed. I miss my friends. I miss doing shows with 6 comics 15 years ago, 14 years ago at the clubs and going to the diner. I mean, I married one of them. I mean, I guess I really liked it. But I miss my friends. It's a little bit more lonely these days.
Yes, I can understand. Have you ever met Brad Stein by any chance?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Brad Stein and I did a show about 8 years ago. I invited him to headline at a show I produced, but we had never met in person. So Brad, just by talking on the phone, he thought I was a white guy. So when he got to the venue, he looked at he looked at me. He said, "By God, you're black." I said, "Yes, Brad, I am. I have been for a very long time." Long story short, we get to the venue, and he has a set that's not prepared for a black crowd, and there's nothing but black people in there. I don't know
how he would do, Maurice.
No, I'm going to tell you how he did. The whole crowd was black, and he starts out, and he's bombing. He just didn't expect an all-black crowd. You know what he did? He did a pivot, and in the next 45 minutes, killed the room. He killed. And after the show, I said, Brad, I'm so glad you were able to figure that one out. But how in the world did you do that? Yeah. He said, Maurice, I've been doing that. And this was at the time 8 years ago. He said, Maurice, I've been doing this for 17 years, man. I've seen it all. Yeah. And it was amazing. I was blown away. I couldn't believe I actually witnessed that. But no, and Brad's a very funny comedian.
I love touring with comics. Like Carlos Oscar, you should call him. Have you ever had Carlos on your show?
No, I've heard of him, but I've never had him on, no.
I did a show with him. I was my first year in comedy, mainly a Latino crowd. I did great. I did fine. It was like a 4 p.m. show. The sun was shining, whatever. 15 minutes, whatever. He goes out and slays them. And I'm in the back like, I quit. He's like, Kerri. Kerri, I'm Latino. I've been doing this 15 years. So my goal was be as good as Carlos. And years later, I did a show with him and my friends came and we were like co-headlining. And they were like, oh, we like that Carlos guy, but we really liked you. And I was like, what? Like, I've made it.
Yeah.
I think you want to be better. You want to tour with people that are better. You want to tour with people that are more senior. I love taking openers, as much as I can. Lisa Mills, Kristen Weber, just to help them, as much as I could when they were starting out.
Well, one of the things I've learned now, Kerri, you've been doing this longer than I have. I'm probably 10, 11 years in, so I'm just turning a corner where it's kind of like, all right, I think I got this more or less. I don't know, but I've learned this, that when you are telling a joke, and I got this from Mark Christopher Lawrence, don't step on your laughs. Like, slow down. They're liking your stuff. Chill out and let them laugh. Let them laugh it out and then go to your next joke. And that was something that I had to learn. Because,
you know what? You know what's funny? I learned lessons that you probably didn't have to. So when I was touring with Bone, because I toured with Bone, Bone Hampton, right?
Yes. Absolutely.
Do you know who that is?
Bone Hampton. Yeah, I know Bone.
So here's what I had to learn. He's like, Kerri, don't wear that tight T-shirt on stage that says your boyfriend says hello. The women will hate you. And I was like, what? That's so cute. He's like, And so we laugh. I mean, this is for real. Like, for real. In the backstage, he's buttoning up my shirt like my dad. He's like, button that up. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, this is hysterical.
Well, you were setting yourself up for failure big time. And you know what's another problem, too, as clean/Christian comics? I don't know if you've ever thought about this, but when you get introduced as a Christian comic or a clean comic, particularly in a secular room, you're going uphill now because they're like,
why would you?
Oh, really?
I would never have them do that. I just give them my intro and say, I don't even like the word Christian comic because I think they want me to have a puppet. Like I don't even.
I totally agree with that. I totally agree with that.
Christian plumber who kind of sucks, but he's Christian. He's like,
That's funny. But I know that's something, too, that I've seen happen. And people just get mad and they go, oh, yeah, make me laugh now. Now it's not about having fun. It's like, now you have to make me laugh and you're going uphill. But anyway, I don't do that. I'm like you. I just want to be known as a comic. That's it.
I mean, in 2021, the best thing you can be introduced as is a minority comic because white people are so scared to do anything wrong. So you probably get a standing ovation from all the white privilege in the audience.
A standing ovation, everybody. Maurice Brown. Yes, everyone, you can sit. Thank you so much. No, you're right.
Walk on stage and be like, if you don't like me, you're racist, okay?
Hey, Kerri, let me ask you this. When you got out for the first time after, and you say you never go beyond 6 months performing, but when you got in front of a live crowd for the first time after all that time had gone by, were you a little bit rusty, or did you just dive right in?
I brought notes on stage, and I wrote them on the back of my hand.
Okay.
So I've never gone 6 weeks. 6 weeks was the longest I've ever gone. I had women in my audience with red wine and sippy cups, so I was good. Like they were pretty excited about me. It was nerve-wracking. I had a lot of new material. And I cheated. I've done it since in COVID a couple of times. I have all this COVID material and I want to do these jokes. So I cheated a little and I have a little cheat sheet. Sometimes it'll say, do the Botox joke, do the homeschool joke, my little cheat sheet, to be honest.
Yeah. Okay.
But if I
that's
gotta do
fair.
90 minutes, if I got to do 60 minutes solid with no break, I'm going to have a couple sheets up there that remind me it's just like I'll write a one-liner. You know what I mean? Like do Facebook joke or do this. Because, you know, my brain.
You know what I did last year, just before the pandemic? I did my first 45-minute show, right? And I had my wife sit in the front, and in case she had like these little flashcards in case I got lost. Every joke she kept switching just in case I had to look down, right?
That's so sweet.
You know what's really interesting is I never had to look over there. Here's the problem, though, and I did well. The show was well, but I learned that thing about let them laugh your jokes out, man. I probably could have gone an hour and a half had I slowed down because I was trying not to forget. You know what I mean? I was trying so hard not to lose my place.
You want to give them the enjoyment of laughing at your joke. Now, I tag fast, but if I just hear it and I'm done, you know, like I'll do, you know, dieting, you know, I said something like, well, if you can't lose the weight, decorate. And then they laugh. And then I go, because I'm not ready for Chico's. Then they laugh. And then I'm like, because I went to first one. And I just go like, but up. I don't give them a lot of time. A good 2-3 seconds. Breathe. Give enough time to breathe. And then you hit it hard. I'd rather that they just said I couldn't stop. Like the best comment is I couldn't breathe.
Yeah.
I had a woman, Maurice, have an asthma attack at one of my shows last year.
Oh, no way. How did that go? How did you handle that?
I wasn't aware of it on stage.
Oh, good. That's very good.
I would have died because I would have been like, I told her later, she was laughing about it. I go, I'm kind of flattered. Like,
well, it's kind of a bittersweet deal. You know, you feel bad for them, but it's kudos to you. You know,
I've had so much crazy stuff. I'm sure you have. I've had people carried out of my shows and like stretch. Like I've had shows stop when the power went out and all the smokers had to get the lighters. You know, just crazy stuff.
Now, look, Kerri, I want to wrap things up because I know you got a busy schedule. So I want to ask you a couple more questions before we wrap things up. Okay. So, what do you have coming up? Because I noticed that you're back on tour.
Yes.
So, what do you have coming up?
Call me. I'm doing a show with a radio station with the musical artist Plum in Sacramento next month. I'm going to be in, I don't even know where I'm going, Florida, Arizona. I will work for Chipotle gift cards at this juncture. Like, I used to be really fancy and have, like, they're like, what's your honorariums and your riders? I was like, are you going to feed me? But Texas, of course. I've got my podcast with my daughter, which is also on Creative Motion Network. This is not a good idea. We have a podcast. I've got the cooking show, the movies. But I'm just so excited to work. I'm a worker. We're comics, right? We love to work. So I think this has afforded a lot of people an opportunity to book me virtually that couldn't afford me, you know, in person. Yeah. But now they're shocked. They're like, you'll come for our budget. I'm like, look, I'll really do my best because I love the work. I love the work.
Kerri, if you ever need an opener, give me a call. I'd love to hang out with you and do some comedy.
Hey, where are you based, Maurice? What state?
I'm in Virginia, Northern Virginia, just outside D.C., about a half hour, Woodbridge, Virginia.
I haven't been there in years. They need to call. Is there a lot of comedy out there in the church world?
There is. I mean, this is kind of an interesting area when it comes to comedy. I think it's particularly when you're talking about D.C., but there are a lot of good comics in the area, Christian comics in the area. It's a lot of them. Valina Metcalf and, my gosh, Cornbread Robinson. I don't know if you've ever met Cornbread or not.
Do you know Coy Lastone?
No.
Oh, you got to meet him. He's in D.C.
Okay, yeah, I definitely have met. We had Christina Johnson. She just chimed in not too long ago. She said she saw you in the DMV. I don't know how long ago that was. You were in Virginia. Here she is right here. Christina said, you were so funny when I saw you in the DMV. So I guess you don't necessarily recall that, but
wait,
you've been here before, apparently, Kerri.
Does she mean the DMV like the real, like the car DMV?
No, like D.C., Virginia, Maryland.
I was there a few years ago. I did a radio tour. Yeah, I did a great tour there about 4 years ago. Maybe.
Now, Kerri,
Thank
listen.
you. Thank you.
She said you were hilarious, and she's also a clean comic from the D.C. area, Christina Johnson. Very funny. Last question I want to ask you is, what advice can you leave with young people that are out there that are, let's say, they're Christian, they're faith-based, but they want to make comedy or acting a career? What kind of advice can you leave with them, Kerri?
Look, I think that you have to do the work. You cannot substitute quality of craft if you haven't put the work in. And you don't have to be in LA. Now, if you want to be a filmmaker, I really strongly feel you need to be where films are being made, like in the secular market. My friend's son is coming out here. He just got his film degree. He's going to start as a PA. He's going to work his way up. Like, I don't know if you can do that in states where there's not a lot of films, but find people that are better than you and shadow them and intern for them and do the work, millennials.
Yes. I love that. That's great advice. Because, Kerri, a lot of times young people will look onto the silver screen, or they look at a comedian that's doing, and I'll throw a couple of names out, like Dave Chappelle or Kevin Hart, Jerry Seinfeld, for example.
Yeah.
Well, they had to do a lot of work to get to that point. It didn't just happen like that. They didn't go on
TikTok and post their talking dog and then headline the impact.
No, they didn't go on TikTok and hit it big.
Like, if you do this on TikTok, now I do love you, TikTok, because people are using my comedy on their TikTok videos. And those people, I want to give a big shout out and be like, yay, you can do that as much. Oh, and Maurice, I forgot to tell you, I have a new CD out on iTunes and Spotify, and it's called Thoughts in My Head and Amazon Music. It came out last week.
Okay, awesome. Thoughts in My Head on Spotify and Amazon.com. Kerri Pomarolli. I love it. And how can fans follow you on social media
and
or
iTunes.
by website? iTunes. Okay. And how about if someone wants to, I guess iTunes as well, if someone wants to contact you for booking?
Instagram, Kerri Pom, Twitter, Kerri Pom, Facebook, KerriPom.com, KerriPom.com. You can find me.
I love it. Kerri Pomarolli on the
watching.
Maurice Brown Show. And if you've enjoyed this, like and share it and subscribe to the Maurice Brown Comedy Channel and also any social media that Kerri Pomarolli is on. Once again, Kerri Pomarolli on the Maurice Brown Show. And tomorrow you can see this show in its entirety on the Creative Motion Network on Roku TV. Once again, Kerri Pomarolli on the Maurice Brown Show. Kerri, may the peace of Christ be with you and your family. God bless you.
Maurice, you're so good at what you do. It's a pleasure to be a guest for you.
Amen. Thank you, Kerri. God.